Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We will get started in a minute here, but before we do, we just want to address some general housekeeping items. First of all, can you hear me? Please let us know if we're speaking too fast or too slowly by using the chat feature. The automated closed captioning feature is available for those who wish to use it. Participant mics are actually going to be muted throughout the webinar, and we're asking folks to use to submit questions through the Q&A feature instead. Let's see. Okay, looks like folks can hear, so that's great. We will begin the session with opening remarks and then the presentation. After the presentation is when we will kick off the Q&A, so you are welcome to submit questions throughout, and we will get to them at the Q&A for sure. And we will be recording today's session, so if there are folks you know who weren't able to make it, we will be recording and posting a recording of the video. We will be disabling any AI, so I see there's a few note takers, and we're going to ask them to leave because we are recording. We are going to start off with Commissioner of New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, Commissioner Diavich.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this World Cup webinar. I'm really excited to be here alongside Deputy Speaker Williams in the New York City World Cup office. And also hello from Materials for the Arts. You can probably see this reuse object behind me, our beloved MFTA. I am really excited about today. The World Cup is such an important opportunity for New York City. As a former and forever curator, public programmer, community engagement person, I just cannot be more excited about the opportunity this presents for the arts and cultural ecosystem in particular. It's such an amazing way to represent the way that New York City is international, to bring in new multi-generational communities into your organizations, to build your audience, and maybe even figure out some new opportunities for revenue along the way. But audience building is really at the core of this, and it's just so exciting to see the cultural community come together alongside a sports community, alongside all kinds of other civic communities, to really show what we can do together for New Yorkers, for our visitors, and to share at a really special moment. So I'm going to pass it now to Deputy Speaker Williams, and thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, and thank you to DCLA for really helping to put together this meeting and for honestly getting 227 people on a call on a Friday. So thank you so much to you and your team, and thank you to the mayor's office and the World Cup crew. I'm really excited for us to be partnering together to really uplift our cultural institutions. I've been having so many meetings, and I know that out of that meeting came this idea to figure out how we can work with our cultural institutions to uplift them and to make sure people know that they are a place to visit and potentially a place to have a real cool activation and watch one of the World Cup games. So I will also be very brief. Just thank you all so much for all you do. Really excited to continue this conversation. If we need to have more conversations, I know that the commissioner is committed to really working together, listening to you all, and making sure that we are maximizing what we can do for our great city. And I know we also have, just really quickly, we have a new division in the council that is really geared towards public-private partnerships. And so, again, on the council side, we are taking this very seriously and wanting to make sure we do our part in supporting your institutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And now we will begin our presentation with Ellen Canfield, the Executive Director of New York City World Cup Operations at the Mayor's Office.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Commissioner and Deputy Speaker, for pulling this together. I echo that. Really exciting to see. We're now at 225 attendees on a Friday afternoon. So thank you all for being here. And I know that that number represents a lot of excitement around the World Cup, as well as some very valid and understandable questions, maybe some anxiety or confusion about exactly what's happening and how it's happening and how you can best position your organizations to be involved and make some good things happen. So I'm going to start with some quick introductions, a really big picture overview of what the World Cup is. If you are not all huge sports fans, and I count myself in that group, you are more likely to find me at a museum on a Saturday than out on a field. So I found it helpful to give people just a quick overview of exactly what we're talking about, and then I'll get into what that looks like in New York City, who some of the different folks are working on it. And we're also joined by my colleagues from the New York City Host Committee and New York City Tourism as well, who are going to speak to some pieces. So, big picture, the World Cup will take place over 104 matches in 16 cities through Canada, the United States, and Mexico. So if you're like, wait, I keep hearing different cities say they have the World Cup, that's exactly right. 16 cities have it. However, only one city has the final, and that is New York City. So the final match on July 13th will take place in, well, New Jersey. So we are sharing the World Cup with New Jersey. The matches themselves are taking place at MetLife Stadium, but the entire bid process was a New York, New Jersey bid process. And I'm going to pause there because I realized I didn't fully introduce myself super well. So Ellen Canfield, I've probably met some of you and interfaced with you in my previous role under the de Blasio administration, as most recently the executive director of CECM and SAPO. I held that role through the pandemic, so worked with a lot of you on open culture and a lot of the exciting things that we were able to pull off during that really challenging time. In that role, I worked on our bid for the World Cup, so was super excited when the mayor gave me the opportunity to come back and really see plans through to fruition. To give you a quick overview of also what the team looks like in the city, myself and our World Cup czar, Maya Honda, who the mayor appointed to really develop his vision, which I'll touch on more. We also have Marianne Mudrick from our team here, who's going to be leading on activations. Additionally, there is a very, very robust team working on interagency coordination, and that's been happening since New York City and New Jersey were selected as a host city. So all of the transportation planning, emergency preparedness, all of that is happening under the coordination of the mayor's office, but with those respective agencies. In addition to that city structure, I mentioned the host committee. So each host city has a committee. We have a New York, New Jersey committee. Bruce Revman, who has been leading the efforts on the New York side, is with us today. And the host committee it's our FIFA host committee. They all report to and work with FIFA. So when we're referring to the host committee, that is our FIFA, essentially, our local branch of FIFA. The host committee is charged with putting on and executing the matches themselves, ticket sales, etc. We will then work with the host committee on 5 official fan fests. There will be one in each borough, and those will be announced shortly. And those are the official FIFA events that are happening in the city and in New Jersey. There will be fan fests in New Jersey as well. We're also joined, and you'll hear more shortly, from New York City Tourism. They're really the other big pillar in all of this. New York City Tourism, I'm sure many of you have known them and their great work throughout the years, is doing a lot of incredible promotion and has a lot of opportunities for all of your organizations to interface with them and boost the work you're doing. So I'll now go into the mayor's vision and priorities. Next slide. Thank you. So Mayor Mamdani's priorities, you probably have noticed the mayor talk about soccer a time or two. He is a huge, huge soccer fan. So this is a super personally exciting moment for him, and we're really viewing this little chunk of time we have as a campaign to make the most positive things we can happen for New Yorkers. I would have loved to be doing this job a year ago. 6 months from the day the mayor took office, the 6 months and change is not a lot of time to make adjustments to plans that are already in place, but we were excited about some resources we've been able um, to start to leverage and to move and to build on the really excellent work that's already been put in place. So the mayor's priorities, of course, are that it's a safe and smooth for all of the 80,000 attendees at each of those 8 matches at MetLife, and for the 1.3 million tourists that we're anticipating in the city. And I would say most importantly to the mayor is thinking about all of our New Yorkers every day who are trying to, on those busy match days, get around the city, get to their jobs, take care of regular life. So all three of those things are a really key part of the planning, and top of mind for all. His vision is also to, and this is what we're working on and talking to you about today, is to really harness the resources that are flowing through the city, through corporate dollars, through FIFA themselves, through a lot of other entities who are touching the World Cup, to maximize that boost to local businesses and institutions. Our hope is, as much as possible, and in partnership with SBS and EDC and DCLA and others, this can be a real opportunity for all of you and for all of our stakeholders, and not something that you feel like is being kind of thrust upon the city that we don't have a say in. And then we really want to promote fun, free community program. I personally am so excited. I think that this is going to be a fun summer. It's going to be a much needed moment of celebrating New York on a global platform and showing the world, reminding the world just how special New York City is. We are the only city that is going to have a huge contingent cheering for literally every single match, every team that is playing in every match, all 104 matches. We have a home team cheering for, and I think whether you're a sports fan or not, there's just going to be an excitement as we get out and celebrate. And what I'm super excited about to connect with this group is the opportunities that are more than just watch parties. We're super excited for watch parties, and I'm going to get into viewing licenses and some of the specifics. But this is an incredible opportunity to celebrate so many aspects. I was talking to someone from New York Botanical Garden, and not to spoil their plans, but they're working on, like, imagine a kind of World Cup like face off of a certain flower, right? There's all of the different food communities. We are working on some things that we're not able to share yet because they're not quite baked to be announced, but a lot of marketing to encourage New Yorkers to visit a neighborhood they've never been to make this the moment that they check all five boroughs off their passport if they haven't, go eat Moroccan food when Morocco is playing, that kind of thing. And my hope and my dream is that we get to August, and I'm sure there are going to be some bumps in the road. There are going to be times where, folks had to wait for a subway, or an area was congested, but that the headline will be, that was so much fun. Like, I got to do things I'd never done. I met my neighbors. I got to see the city in a different way. And it's a time when we really need that. And I'm excited for what can happen. And finally, on the mayor's vision is to really evaluate the long-term impact for this and begin to shape a model as we move forward. In 2031, we will host a significant number of games for the Women's World Cup. We have a stadium being built in Queens. This is, I think as the sports and entertainment industry continues to grow, we'll have more and more opportunity. And this is really a moment to build that framework for how we best engage and how we really maximize, again, the opportunities to benefit New Yorkers, to benefit our businesses and institutions. So I'm going to pause and turn it over to my colleague from New York City Tourism. And after Nancy delivers that portion of the presentation, I'm going to get into a little bit more of the specifics on viewing licenses, which I know there are a lot of questions around, on other programming. But I will pause and turn it over to New York City Tourism CMO Nancy Mamana.
Great. Thank you so much, Ellen. And thank you for the opportunity to speak with all of you. I really appreciate it. There's a lot going on. So I'll just kind of jump in to the overall plan and always here for questions afterward. So we can jump into the next slide. Thank you so much. So this is just a recap on our overall strategy. And to take a step back, we are not here to sell tickets to the World Cup. Our goal is very much to make sure that the administration's vision and our mission is accomplished, which is to help use this as an opportunity to leverage disbursement of traffic so that all five boroughs can benefit, and to really make sure that the city is dressed in welcome and push as much out into our local businesses as possible using this obviously as a great hook. So we're excited, and we've broken down our plan in a couple of phases. And we started this actually last year. And as a DMO, as a destination marketing organization, we very much sit at the top of the funnel. We are here to inspire people to take that trip and then to help them plan it. And then when they're here, to help them navigate it. So we developed this campaign internationally where the world comes to play last year to begin to plant the seed with international visitors with a focus on the countries that are playing here. But we also know that a lot of folks will come in and just experience the celebrations and not attend the matches. So it was a combination of international targeting and long haul domestic targeting. And then we're layering in local targeting as we get closer. But this was the campaign we went out with outside the market starting last fall. The intention here is, because we're front loading a lot of this work to ladder up to the World Cup, that we are creating a longer tail. And as we do these campaigns, we're building a first party data pool of people who show intent to travel here. So long after the World Cup is over, we're going to use that data in our marketing campaigns because we know those people are receptive to the message, and we're going to keep retargeting them way after July 19th. This creative, for the purposes of what will be happening during the tournament, is going to evolve, and we're working with Ellen, Maya, and the team at City Hall on an integrated campaign. So you will see something else within the five boroughs, but this is what we're doing to drive international visitation ahead of time. So more to come as that is developed, but we wanted to share what we've been using thus far. Thank you. So all that we're doing is designed to drive traffic to our landing page that is now, it's been live on our website. Our website is nyctourism.com if you haven't seen it. But essentially, we're using every medium we have to drive traffic and awareness to this page, because this is where all of our navigation and local businesses will be featured. So again, I talked to you a little bit about the targeting. We're focusing on the origin markets playing here, and domestic and regional travelers who also tend to travel for big events, who have shown intent to travel to New York. So it's a lot of digital media targeting, but this is where we're driving to. And this is where we'll have itineraries, neighborhood guides, how to navigate getting to and from the fan zones and the stadium, and leveraging the host committee's channels front and center to help for that type of information. And we will also have an events calendar portal where you can submit events if you're doing something to commemorate the games and the matches. That'll be a place where you can go and get additional visibility. But if you're familiar with our content, this is just another way we're showcasing our businesses using the fan zones and the events that will be happening as anchor points for exploration. So all that we're doing supports what will be living here. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. One of the aspects that we are working on from a content and media perspective is to continue our partnership with NBC TV. We did a partnership last year with them to commemorate New York City's 400 and our Founded by NYC campaign, where it's not just about buying media. They are partnering with us on content, and especially with Telemundo being an official broadcast partner, this will not look like an ad. This will look like branded segments on New York Live and Excesso Total that are very focused on harnessing the lifestyle and community culture and the fandom around World Cup. We're working on the details now with NBC. It's likely this will start around the end of May, but it'll be branded segments that will showcase our local businesses and our communities. It's very lifestyle focused. There will be a little soccer sprinkled in, but it's really not about that. It's about fandom, culture, and community that surround the game. So we will share more details on that. But in addition to the segments, there will be some media that will run to support it on digital and linear TV. We're very excited. They definitely understand how we look at things, and they're very like-minded, and we will work with them to select where they're going. We'll cover all 5 boroughs. We'll cover as many sectors as we can. But again, really showcasing why we were chosen as a host for the finals in particular and the diverse fandom that we have. I think we have a trailer in the next slide that will give you a little bit of a sample of it. Oh, great.
Todo comienza con un sueño. Un boleto a la historia. La pasión. Las tradiciones inquebrantables. Los colores que corren por nuestras venas. Marcados por la devoción. Y el fuego que nunca se apaga. La fe. Ya se escuchan los cánticos, los latidos del corazón. Por los momentos que nos unen, estamos listos.
So just a little bit of a teaser for tonality's sake, but in addition to the segments, we're going to have some inventory on Telemundo and on NBC New York that we will promote our brand spot for New York City. So just general demand driving around coming to New York City. So more to come. This is very much in development, and we're finalizing the details here. In addition to that, and again, this is the placeholder creative that we have had been running, but it will be replaced with a new unified campaign that City Hall is working on. We are going to blanket the city as much as we can in welcome and dressing, taking it to a completely higher level than we might have done in the past because we have a unification of the look and feel that will cover everything we can get our hands on in terms of Link NYC screens, street pole banners, bus shelters. Newsstands. We're going to have media in the airports, in arrivals and baggage claim, through partners like Clear Channel and Outfront. We'll be in the subways and buses, Taxi TV, all of it. And again, this is meant to convey warmth and welcome. And again, another way of driving awareness. And we will have QR codes that drive to the website, and that will be supplemental to some out of home that the host committee will also be doing. So we really want to make sure that it's a can't miss experience, and then everyone is very aware of all the celebrating that will be going on here. So that is all in development as well, and it will start just prior to the tournament and run through the duration. This is just a little mock-up so you can see, but again, this will be replaced by the new creative, but wanted to give you a sense of it. So there will be a new tool that is being developed thanks to the host committee with Google and a company called Neuron that is going to be a combination of mapping and navigation. It's an AI-powered tool that will be on both of our sites. And the inputs into the tool will be from our website and Visit New Jersey site, and then other exterior partners like you see here, that is really meant to not only help me map where I can go and what's near a fan zone or what have you, but also what's a real-time update on traffic? How long is it going to take? Is there a subway down? All of the things that will help a visitor and a local navigate the experience. We will have the tool on our site. There will be the tool on the host committee site. And as long as your Google business profile is updated, it will pull from there. And I should reiterate too, if I didn't mention earlier, we are opening everything we're doing beyond our membership base. So sometimes our programs typically feature New York City tourism members. This is open to really any business that wants to participate. So the tool will pull from your Google business profile. So take a moment to make sure that that's updated. And the next week on April 14th, Google's holding a webinar, and we will, I know that invite will be shared with you after this, that will solely be focused on how best to do that, run by Google and Neuron. So this is a great piece of technology that we hope to continue using on our site after the World Cup, because just generally for navigation and mapping purposes, it's very intuitive. There's a lot that can be done with it, and we love it. So you'll see a little bit more about that if you attend the webinar on Tuesday. Content. So we are working with our global communications team and City Hall on a suite of content creators that are local, as well as out-of-market influencers to really help us spread the word on all the experiences that will be happening during the tournament. And again, this is very much about lifestyle and community across the sectors you see here, and it is very five-borough. So we're working together on who those people are, where they're going to go, and then all that content will be featured on social media. We have a pretty robust plan in the making, so we're hoping to cover as much as we can. There will be some sports and soccer sprinkled in, of course, but really the thought is letting people know what is available to do. And again, we suspect that will be used by and relevant to both locals and visitors. So all of that is information as well, and we'll begin that work, I suspect, in early May once we get our ducks in a row on who we're working with. But we're trying to make sure we cover, again, not only locals, but those that have a following and represent the audiences for the teams that are playing here, because that might be especially relevant. And again, this is just, you hopefully have seen some of our content. Our handle is NYC Tourism across Instagram and across Meta, all of Meta, TikTok, etc. So YouTube. So again, we keep it very lifestyle focused, high energy, but we try to make sure that we're very thoughtful about where we go. And these creators are going to help us get really surgical to make sure we're in as many neighborhoods as we can, covering as many types of businesses as we can. And certainly arts and culture is a big part of that. We can go to the next one. Again, just more examples. We do cover arts and culture, attractions, food, etc. We are also refreshing our halal guide. We were the first U.S. destination to come up with a halal guide a couple of years ago, and we are refreshing that. And that is also across sectors. So we will be refreshing this shortly in the next couple of weeks. City Hall is helping us to promote this, but again, it's meant across sectors, not just food related, but to help visitors navigate the city. And we will again continue using this after the World Cup. It's a great tool, and it's digital, and it will live on our site and our social channels. So just a heads up on that. And finally, I think we are working on an additional program largely for the culinary sector just prior to Restaurant Week. So Restaurant Week happens just after the World Cup, and we wanted to make sure that we had something going on during. So this is actually, the name is being tweaked a little bit because there are two ways in. If you sell cold beverages, you can participate, and we are keeping this very broad. We want as many businesses to surface as possible, and it will look very much the way Restaurant Week looks on our channels with content and then cards, promotional cards, where all the businesses that are participating. But essentially, you can offer a $26 something, whether that's a fancy cocktail or it's a meal combo. And we're going to be creating with City Hall's design team limited edition cups, one per borough, that are collectible. They're from a vendor that Yankee Stadium happens to use. They kind of look like a honeydew type of high quality dishwasher safe plastic cup that we hope encourages people to collect all five across all five boroughs. So we're opening participation and the calendar portal. I happen to catch a flash of a question that just came in. That will open for participation April 14th. And the calendar itself will go live May 27th. This program goes live June 11th. So next week we will send out this information so you can understand how to do that, whether you're participating in this program or you just want to submit events. So more to come there. But again, we're building this on our site. We are designing cups. It's all happening very much in real time, and it is very open. Again, you can't put a hot beverage in it, but if you happen to have a restaurant or a cafe in your outlet, you're welcome to participate in either or of these offers. They're both part of the same program, and that those consumers who do participate, if they tag us, we will amplify their channel. So the reward for joining in as a consumer and a fan is to collect the cups, go to all five boroughs, and then we'll lift you up. And we know that it's a very cost-effective way of creating incentives and rewards. And so we're excited about this. So again, a lot is happening in real time, but we wanted to make sure we were creating momentum from the beginning of the tournament through the end of July.
Thank you so much, Nancy. I know that was a lot to cover quickly, and I know there will be questions about this that we'll take, but just to recap, The portal is going to be available to start inputting in on April 14th, and we'll make sure that folks have that information. Nancy, am I right? Is there a cutoff date for submitting events, or will that be a rolling basis as the summer goes on?
It'll be on a rolling basis.
Right.
And when we open up the calendar, we will share this toolkit with you. We're making it. And that toolkit will also have links to some things that the host committee is doing. So we're trying to make it a one-stop shop for things that we do that you could take advantage of and things that they're doing. So it's very simple, very turnkey. So all of that will go out right around the 14th. And again, we're here for questions, but yeah, we're trying to keep it flexible and open and yes, rolling basis for enrollment.
Awesome. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank
All
you.
right. I'll keep moving in and move quickly so we have plenty of time for questions. And I do want to just speak to what Nancy said, some incredible opportunities there, but we know that nothing is one size fits all, and nothing is required either. So this is what the city is doing. These are opportunities, but we recognize there's a huge spectrum of issues and aspects of the World Cup to touch on, and you might be approaching this in a different way, and we're supportive of it, excited for that. So these are really just a few of the opportunities for engagement. I know that many of you already have creative programming and things going on. So touching on, actually, Marion, can we go back one quickly? Sorry. So we're going to talk about actually, yes. So viewing parties and other events, thank you. And then I'll go into the public space permitting. Sorry, we can go ahead. Thank you. All right, viewing license overview. I'm going to move pretty quickly here because we do have information to share. So viewing license is the license from to show a match either on Fox or Telemundo, who are the two official providers. There's an application portal. We will drop that link in the chat and send it around afterwards as well. So who needs a license? If you are a business just operating as usual, so you are a sports bar with TVs, you do not need a special viewing license to show the World Cup. You can turn your TVs to Telemundo and stream World Cup matches. If you are hosting a free event for under 1,000 people, which I imagine it actually applies to a lot of the programming that folks on this call are thinking about, you do not need a viewing license. So should hopefully be really, really good news to lots of folks. I did put an asterisk there because there is an exception if you have significant financial sponsors that are not just to cover the costs of a free community event, but it's really a revenue generating. So an example might be like Harper's Bazaar has Dior sponsoring an exclusive 30-person screening. That is a revenue generating event for that entity. It is not a free, open community event that might have a couple of sponsors covering their costs. So you can have sponsors for these events. Those questions are not referencing that kind of sponsor who is just covering the cost of an event. So any kind of community event screening for under 1,000 people, you do not need a viewing license. A free event over 1,000 people, you will need to apply for a viewing license. There is a designation for a non-commercial viewing license. The application is the same, but then FIFA will then determine this is non-commercial based on the information you submit. It's free. Your sponsors are just covering the cost, etc. And the designation will be for non-commercial. I cannot tell you, unfortunately, and trust me, this is frustrating when we have tried to get as much clarity as we can from FIFA. There is not a specific fee schedule. It's based on the number of attendees you anticipate. They're looking at other events that are happening. But what we are hearing is that the cost for the non-commercial event is nominal, if not free. So we have been hearing about organizations getting their viewing licenses back with nominal to no charge. We are going to share an email at the end of this that's for an inbox that our team is monitoring. We're together with the host committee going to try to field your questions as they come. Encourage you really to just go start the application and see what it is. and try to get something in, they will shoot it back to you if it's not complete. So urge you to fill in as much as you possibly can. And as much as we can, we're going to be here to help, as swiftly as we can. And then finally, events of a ticketed event that's a paid admission that will definitely need a viewing license. So then we have the exciting world of non-event programming, which again, I think you're all already thinking of art exhibits and food tours and dance exhibitions, all kinds of cool stuff. We welcome you to do that. There are some great promotion opportunities through the digital concierge, which Nancy mentioned, and the New York City tourism calendar. There's also the host committee has an app for a rewards program that will be fun, and we'll share more about that. And again, that's just an optional opportunity. And then lastly, oh, great. Okay. I didn't even make a slide for this. So I do want to touch quickly on street permits and parks permits. As you may have seen in the news or heard, there are going to be more restrictions this summer on public space permits, in light of all of the huge events that are happening in the summer. So unfortunately, I don't have a definitive answer for you on if entities can get a street permit during that World Cup window. It's going to be really, really neighborhood dependent, and really based on, what else is going on. Those decisions are being evaluated with NYPD right now. What I would encourage you to do is to just candidly to consider programming that is not going to require a street or parks permit, to think creatively about your own space, partner space, different ways of doing events rather than something that might require that kind of permitting. You're just going to be able to move forward with a lot more confidence. But I will keep in close touch with DCLA and make folks aware when we do have a little bit more clarity on when permits will be reviewed again for that World Cup period. All right, 1:39. Let's go ahead and go to questions.
Great. So we have a lot of questions. We'll try to get through as many as we can. And I think there's some repetitive ones. So if you don't hear your exact question, it's because we're thinking that it's been addressed in another one. First question, might there be funding opportunities for nonprofit arts organizations? I think there's a general question about that. And then this question specifically asks about creating murals in the subway system or other key locations that might highlight FIFA.
So the mayor's office does not have funding opportunities available, unfortunately.
Okay. There's lots of questions about what the dates are for programs that they should submit to the calendar tool. I know you said it earlier, but I think it bears repeating.
Yeah, of course. And again, this will be all announced next week, but we are allowing enrollment to begin April 14th. The calendar will go live May 27th. So again, all those instructions will be in the toolkit that will go out next week.
Great. Will FanFest be active for games outside of the 8 in New York and New Jersey? If so, is there a formal vendor process that we need to understand to participate?
Great question. So the FanFests are being organized by FIFA and by our host committee. I believe they do have a vendor application on their website that may have closed at this point, but that programming is being managed by the host committee. I'll confirm that and share that out. And the FanFest will not be active on all 39 days, with the exception of one. So they're going to be staggered throughout that 39-day window, but that does include non-New York, New Jersey match days.
A related question regarding game schedule actually also I want to make a correction. Earlier, I think we misstated the date of the final game. It's actually July 19th.
Did I say June 19th?
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
okay.
but it's July 19th.
Yes.
At MetLife. Also related, are there any opening ceremony presentation opportunities for New York for any cultural nonprofits to participate?
That's a great question. I have not been I've not heard about opening ceremony plans. I don't actually know that there is really a formal opening ceremony, but that's an intriguing idea. So happy to take that back into planning consideration. I like it.
Okay. All right. If we have a Wikipedia public program in mind around documenting soccer players, history of soccer, and the matches, who should we talk to about collaborating with the city?
Sorry, Anne, could you just recap that one more time?
Sure. It sounds like this participant is looking to do a Wikipedia and Wikimedia Commons campaign that would document the soccer players, the history of soccer in New York, and the matches. And they want to explore a collaboration with the city.
That's an interesting one. I'm not quite sure what would be the best agency to connect to that. And I'm not quite sure how it would live on the portal or calendar either, but shoot us a note at that email. Happy to give that some thought.
All right, we'll put your email back in the chat too, Mariam, if you wouldn't mind doing that while I field the questions. That'd be great. Let's see. As an institution with robust free community programming this summer, can you share whether there are specific opportunities to promote these free offerings to folks who are part of the FIFA audience? And I think that goes to the calendar
Yeah.
that you
Yes,
spoke about.
absolutely.
Okay. And so we will be sharing that information with everyone who registered for this webinar. And I'm sure there'll be information shared on social as well. Okay.
I just want to make a quick plug for that calendar and concierge. Folks might be like, well, why isn't why isn't the mayor's office making a website or calendar? We don't want that. New York City's tourism's calendar is extremely robust and fun, and they pull all kinds of fun articles and programming from it. Apparently, the mayor used New York City tourism's date ideas resources for one of his early dates with the First Lady. I use it all the time. It's really smart and fun and the kind of deeply embedded in communities resources that we all want and are very aligned with, I think, from a values perspective. So, this is not an afterthought. This is really a super valuable resource. It's typically only open to members, and they're removing that for this. So everyone can submit their information. And then it will also live on the digital concierge, which again, we think is going to be really widely used both by tourists and by New Yorkers. And the mayor's office will be promoting the New York City tourism tools. We're really hoping to do a lot of coordination around that so that is a high impact resource for you.
And just to reiterate, about half of our following are locals. And I think that's because of a lot of the programming that we do already, like Restaurant Week, Broadway Week, Off Broadway Week. Those are typically tri-state and locals. So you're going to get a good mix of visitors and locals between our social channels and our website, but also we're going to be putting some media behind it. So you already have an engaged audience that you'll be surfacing in front of.
So recognizing that you've said there are no funding opportunities available through the mayor's office, are there funding opportunities that you are familiar with and we could direct folks to? Because that's an ongoing question in the Q&A.
I hear that completely. There are not opportunities that I'm aware of right now. I know Abney had a grant, but that has closed at this point. So hopefully some, if that did populate to this group. I will stay very connected with the commissioner, with the deputy speaker. As we hear of any opportunities, we'll make sure that those are shared out.
There's a question about plazas. Can plazas not chosen by FIFA be allowed to have their own programs?
Apologies, everybody having little allergies over here. So the plaza and permit issue, and I can speak to a little bit more clearly. There is currently an embargo for plaza and permits during the World Cup. We anticipate guidance within the week. There have been a lot of moving pieces. There are teams hard at work on it. that will give updated guidance onto what kind of additional plaza events can be supported. We do encourage folks, if you have an application that's ready to go ahead and put that into the sample application for the first available date and then send a message saying what date you're hoping to have your event. We know that this has been very frustrating. And would have loved to be at the point right now where we were able to say, yep, go ahead. But I think as folks are, there are a lot of factors involved in what's happening this summer and managing that safely. But the intention is that additional events, as much as possible, as much as can be supported safely, will be able to happen.
There are several questions about with expressing concerns about ICE presence around the World Cup, and so there's some concern. And a representative question is: should the communities we serve expect increased ICE presence around World Cup programming, or is it limited to the stadiums?
Great question, and I know something that is heavy on all of us and can feel kind of challenging to be talking about this fun stuff in the same conversation as some difficult stuff, and that really is the reality of the World Cup. The mayor's office has folks who are engaged really 24/7 on the issue of ICE, the issue of ICE presence in the city. There have been ongoing conversations at the federal level. We have certain assurances that there will not be ICE deployments in the city and nor at the stadium. We all, I think, take those with a certain level of valid dubiousness, but it is certainly something that is front and center for the mayor, for the first deputy mayor, for the police commissioner. And there will be additional messaging as we get closer from the mayor's office just around community organizing and community safety.
Thank you, Ellen. For parks and park conservancies that might not have a budget to host a watch party but are willing to host and have ample space, are there opportunities to connect with entities or corporations that do have funding? Is there any sort of matchmaking support that's available?
Great question. We don't have a formalized program. That's something we would have loved to do with like a little more runway, but certainly encourage that, putting together your own sponsorship program like that would encourage you to do. And that type of sponsor, again, where you're covering the cost to put on a free community event, you don't need to list that as a sponsor in your application, which would then bump it into that commercial degree.
So similar question, do you know if any of the events that are taking place are looking to hire arts and cultural organizations for performances before or during the games?
Great question. At this point, the mayor's office, is not doing any programming where we are doing that kind of hiring and booking. If that changes, we'll certainly work with DCLA to make any opportunities available.
Sorry, I'm trying to get to questions that haven't been asked. And you might have addressed this in your response to the question about ICE, Ellen, but just there are a couple of questions about increased security throughout the city. Like, what does that look and feel like? What is that going to look like around Penn Station, for example? And how will that impact tourism?
Mm-hmm. In regards to security specifically, I will say, first of all, I am not the foremost expert to speak on this. And there are, our leader of NISM, police commissioner, others who are very deeply engaged on this. And commissioner and others, we can think about doing some additional kind of community information here. And so I don't want to speak, vastly out of my lane. What I can say is that the mayor's office are working closely with the host committee, with the Port Authority, with the state of New Jersey on all of that coordination with the goal of keeping New Yorkers and New Jersey residents safe, minimizing negative impact on New Yorkers. So there certainly is not, a National Guard coming in, for example, or I don't think something that would feel radically different than our normal day-to-day life in New York.
Um, Question about how hotel reservations and other early indicators are looking for anticipating the number of visitors for the World Cup. Nancy, I think that's for you.
There's quite a fair amount in the narrative now because there have been some hotel blocks being released. But there's also the other side of that coin is that is not atypical for a World Cup. So, and a lot of those blocks were for the sort of VIPs and the teams and the players and things like that were held early on. And it's so I think it remains to be seen. And we're looking at the next 2 months in particular for a lot of forward-looking data by country to monitor it because there is another pattern that typically occurs where the leisure reservations will begin to pick up again as it gets closer. So I think we're holding on any pontificating on that until we see more of the forward-looking data, which we're looking at throughout the month of April and May. So we can come back once we see a little bit more.
There are a lot of questions regarding sort of culturally specific activations. And so the question is, how is the city thinking about supporting diaspora-led organizations or programs to align with World Cup programming? And I think the funding question's been answered, but if there are other vehicles by which folks can coordinate with the city, or if the city's thinking about particular approaches like this.
Absolutely. Hopefully everything that we've shared, I think is exactly that, is touching on that. I think you can anticipate a lot of social media and the kind of marketing campaigns that Nancy touched on doing exactly that kind of highlighting, right? So like here are like 10 Ecuadorian restaurants to try when Ecuador is playing. I think every single match, not just the matches that are happening in New York, but the matches that we'll all be watching and watching in the watch parties, that type of really specific to those diaspora communities is exactly what's going to be highlighted, which again is why rather than give you like 100 different ways to try to connect, we're really trying to get everyone's information into the same place. Then I would also say if there are other city agencies that you're in regular contact with, like I can anticipate that there will be, SBS is another resource where there will be some additional promotion. They have a great resource on their website as well. And we can include that in what is sent out. They're also connecting to the New York City Tourism portal. So that will really be like this rich resource where we're able to pull and highlight a lot of those things.
This is actually related to the previous question about security and particularly around travel. Are there any additional details on travel to and from New Jersey during the World Cup for staff that need to travel into the city for work and programming?
So there have been some press stories in the past few days about a partial closure of Penn Station. This is a decision that has not been fully previewed or not been fully, yeah, without getting into a little bit of confusion here. There is a full transportation plan that the committee will release. Then the sort of some decisions that New Jersey Transit is making around Penn Station is part of that, but we are committed to working with those partners to try to preserve travel as usual as much as possible. The reality is on those 8 match days, there will be some changes to service. And so there will be, as much as possible, robust communication around what those changes are, how you can best plan to modify your travel around those changes.
More questions about local promotion. Given that the youth and adult soccer community is also active in various parks throughout the boroughs, is there a plan for visible promotion at the fields where New Yorkers currently play? I think that's a Nancy question.
We will have that type of content on our website for sure. Yes, places not only to watch, but to participate and throughout the city. Yes.
Um, are there are there opportunities to connect with the city or organizations to hold free single day tournaments?
What I would encourage folks to do is like you should absolutely do that. So don't wait for us to kind of lead those initiatives. Like putting on a single day tournament, like absolutely. You know, if you're a part of a local soccer organization and that's something you're thinking about, you know, feel free to reach out to us if you need help on how to do it or permits, etc. But you know, the sky is the limit in terms of creative programming, and we encourage you to do that. And you know, if folks are maybe want to specify, like when you're saying partner, like knowing funding is not something, unfortunately, that's on the table, what other kinds of support we can give, like very happy to hear that feedback as well.
Related question, will local arts orgs have access to the electric billboards in neighborhoods to promote events?
So, Nancy, if you want to take that, probably speaking to Link.
Yeah, that's why we're going to be using everything we have available to us to drive awareness to the calendar where you could all be featured. So we're going to be the aggregator for everything going on. So that's why I would encourage you to definitely submit to the calendar as soon as it's open, and then the links will have a QR code and our website address to promote it.
Is there what about large format community events with sponsors? How are they making that distinction between sponsors that are or are not beyond cost covering?
So what I would say is the question that you're asked on that application about having sponsors, if you do not have sponsors that are revenue generating beyond the cost of the event, do not list sponsors.
Is there a link to the licensing application? Okay.
I've put it in
Oh,
the
did you put it
chat
in? Sorry.
on several occasions.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Sorry. There's a lot of questions out here. Will the Fan Fest be free or ticketed? And if the latter, what are the prices for entry? Fan zones.
Mm-hmm. There will be significant free programming at the Fan Fests. There are some details being worked out around that, but we are excited about what we're going to be able to share with FIFA very soon.
There are a lot more questions, but some of them look pretty similar to the ones that we've responded to. I just see. I just want
And
to see if
can I
there's any.
speak to one? There's
Yeah,
one
of
that keeps
course.
coming up. I've seen in a couple different places about like seeking to be a content partner, a content creator, marketing partner. Um, I don't know, Nancy, if that's something you can speak to.
We're happy to consider additional individual creators. If you have recommendations, we're assembling the list now with City Hall. So we have a good list. We can't work with everyone, but certainly we're trying to come up with a good short list. There's so much scale that we can't partner with everyone, but that's why we're trying to be the aggregator to everything that you're doing. We're always happy to talk, but that's why we want to make sure the calendar is there at scale. If there's something you're doing and you'd like to talk to us about, we're happy to always have a conversation. But we're trying to be the rising tide for everyone as best as we can. And but so we're open to talking, but that's kind of one of the main vehicles that we're between the cut program, the $26 program, and the calendar to get everyone in the pool and amplify those posts. So depending on what it is, you could always reach out to me. I'm happy to discuss it, but that's the general approach because there's going to be so many folks doing things.
There was a question also about the use of the marks that NYC Tourism is putting out, like if they need to get legal approval to use those.
So City Hall, the mayor's team, his creative team is actually making that creative. And the goal is for us to put in our toolkit creative elements that can be used to take and adapt for your collateral signage. And that will incorporate a little bit of our look and feel of what you just saw, where the world comes to play, some of the things that the host committee is doing, and then the mayor's office vision for the creative. and then we'll pull that into a digestible kind of template that you can take and use. And I don't imagine it will have, it's not completed yet, but I don't imagine it will have anything that will require a legal approval.
Great. So we are at 2:01. I'm sure there are going to be many follow-up questions. We will share contact information and relevant links in a follow-up email that will go out right after this. We will also be sharing a copy of a recording of today's session, but that might take a minute to get out. So that won't come right away, but we'll certainly get the relevant links. And just a reminder that about the Google workshop for folks who want to get sort of World Cup ready. It's next Tuesday. We put that link in the chat, and we will share that in the follow-up email as well. I just want to say thank you to all of our panelists, especially Deputy Speaker Williams, Commissioner Vidge, and the World Cup team. Thank you so much. And NYC Tourism.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.